So I'm thinking that the the Qatar and Turkey need to be worried about our influence over their country. I don't think we need to worry about that much. I don't think we need to worry about their influence on our country. I think we're going to be a nightmare when it comes to influencing, especially the young generation in the entire region. Like, I'm not worried about, shit ideas from Qatar being able to come and influence this generation in Iran. I mean, have you seen this generation in Iran? Like, yeah, Qatari Qatari way of thinking, or Islamist way of, I mean, like, I'm not going to say Turkish because we were influenced by Turkey positively very much. So I mean, we appreciate Turkey's influence when Ataturk was in power in Turkey. But at least the Islamists, the Muslim Brotherhood influence from Qatar and Turkey, they don't have a chance in Iran. They can't play offense because they're going to be too busy playing defense over what we're about to do to them. We're going to go for Hashd Shabi in Iraq. We're going to go for the Fatimiyun in Afghanistan, the Zainabiyun in Pakistan. We're going to, I bet I could guarantee you that we're going to start movements inside Iran to liberate Afghanistan from Taliban. We're going to be a nightmare for them. And yeah, the Qataris, they're going to have to try to worry about how anti everything that we stand for we are, and how the Iran is going to be a center, a base of operations for fighting whatever the Qatari government stands for. Turkey has to be worried about any influence, any source of Islamic influence in Turkey being overcome by secular activists in Turkey being inspired and motivated by seeing how successful the Iranian people are. I bet you the young generation of all of these countries are going to compare themselves with the freedom and the with the and the political liberties. Okay, because a lot of these people, a lot of the so we used to we envy the people, the young generation in Turkey and Saudi Arabia, because they have a lot of social freedoms and the Iranian people don't. But again, there are three types of freedom. We have social freedoms, we have political freedoms, and we have economic freedoms. And when it comes to social freedom, is the least is the last is basically the least valuable one. It's valuable, but it's not as valuable as political freedom and economic freedom. So right now we are jealous of the people in I don't know, Saudi Arabia and Dubai and, well, UAE and Turkey, because they have some social freedoms. But when we are free, we're going to have all the three types of freedoms, and it will be their turn to be jealous of us, because they are now going to see true freedom comes from political and economic freedom. Social freedom is something free that dictators give to their citizens just to keep them happy, and not give them the complete freedom to be able to determine their destiny. It's only through political and economic freedom that you get to determine your own destiny. And once the young generation in Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Qatar, and the UAE see that the Iranian people have that, they're going to demand it. And this is going to be a major headache for all of these countries. And honestly, just to go back to the question, if you see how aggressively and how radically the Iranian youth is against every all of these ideas. Like, guys, we don't have to worry about Islamic ideas influencing this generation, this young generation of Iranians. We have to be worried about the safety of mullahs in the future of Iran. That's what you have to be worried about. Okay, you have to be worried about whether how on earth are we going to avoid like a cycle of violence starting. I'm exaggerating a bit. I'm pretty sure we're going to be civilized, but this would be a more reasonable concern. Okay, like, oh my, like, save the mullahs from being butchered by the young Iranians. That's what you need to be concerned about. Can somebody say I'm not worried? Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm exaggerating, but whatever. You get my point. But yeah.
Right. I'm gonna try to keep things moving. Next on the list, I have Ali.
Hi, Armin. I just wanted to bring two things to your attention real quick. I sent you a message on school.com. about something that was I found really funny, but also really pathetic that the Islamic Republic is doing. It's a type of propaganda. So I sent you two messages. If you want to take a look at the second one and look at that picture, I think you'll have a laugh.
Hold on, this is going to be difficult. I'm getting so many messages. Oh, there we go. Here. So the second one, you want me to do
Yeah,
the second one?
just that one
Okay,
picture.
okay.
You could take a look at that. This is a
Yeah.
broadcast from the Islamic Republic. They photoshopped Trump
Oh.
standing next to protesters, and then they gave weapons in the hands of the protesters. Like that girl has a machete in her hand.
Oh. Let me show this on screen. Okay. So for context, explain what we're looking at here. So this is the Islamic Republic's way of trying to say that the revolution that is happening in Iran, President Trump is this is President Trump's is basically it's denying the agency of the protesters, is denying that the Iranian people are protesting against the regime. It's just basically trying to suggest that this is. By the way, guys, can you please close your microphone because I'm hearing keyboards, guys? If you're not speaking, please close your mics. If you're not speaking, please close your mics, okay? So it's basically trying to suggest that it's basically this is all happening from outside. This is a conspiracy, American conspiracy. The young people who are attacking the regime, they're backed up by, I don't know. I'm actually surprised that this is not Benjamin Netanyahu. I think that they must be feeling a lot of pressure from Trump himself right now, because usually they blame the Jews, and it says Atash Afruzan, so the people who set things on fire. So basically, it's trying to suggest that the revolution that is happening in Iran is done by anarchists, by people who are rioters, instead of like trying to show them as protesters who are justified to protest against the regime. This is the propaganda of the Islamic Republic. Obviously this is all AI. Like, first of all, what the hell is this? This the Iranian people who are protesting against the regime. They don't wear a kafia. Like, this looks like an Islamist, and they don't have guns. This is all be a bullshit. The regime has gun. The Iranian people were unarmed. The Islamic, you know what you should put here? You should put Khamenei here instead, because we know now, even admitted by the regime officials themselves, that what the Islamic Republic does is that they bring some of their armed forces among the crowds to shoot at their own forces. So they get Islamic Republic plainclothes people to shoot at the Islamic Republic uniformed armed people, just so that they could justify the massacre of the Iranian people. But where was this? Was this on national, on the state TV?
Yes, it was.
So this is, yeah. Look at this. This is has the logo of the judiciary branch, and the intelligence the intelligence ministry, and this is the Niriyah Intizami, which is the police. So they have three different parts of the government's logos here, and they're just basically putting this AI images out there. I mean, guys, have we seen a single image like this? Like an Iranian woman, young Iranian woman who's against the regime with a machete in their hand? Like, have we seen a single video that has that? I mean, maybe hopefully at some point. I mean, if the United States doesn't attack, maybe this is what we have to resort to. But so far, we haven't had anything like this. So this is Islamic Republic propaganda. Interesting. Where did you get this? You know where was this shown?
Yeah, so the Islamic Republic actually took a clip from my Instagram and they shared it as like part of propaganda, saying that, oh, we treat. So that was the first message. When I was digging around for that, I was looking at the live broadcast and I found a ton of propaganda. This was just one thing that I managed to take a picture of real quick, but they were showing all of the Basijis that we threw rocks at, and all of them just crying and being like, look at what these students are doing to us. I feel like
Right.
they've been ramping up their propaganda a lot this week.
Yeah, they do send the Basijis inside the universities for the sake of being beaten up, right? They're trying to get somebody to beat them up so that they could have videos. So they are told to go there and try to get all in their face, say things that will piss them off, try to find exactly the right words that will get the highest amount of reactions from them. And hopefully, somebody's going to throw a stone at somebody, one of the Basijis. So they have their cameras ready to basically, they need to be the victims right now, because right now let me tell you what the utility of this propaganda is. Because you might think like, well, this is not going to work on us, this is not going to work on the Americans, this is not going to work on Israelis, so who the fuck is this for? The Islamic Republic right now is losing some of their own people. There are many of their own people who were like, okay, like this is a step too far. Like, did we actually just kill like tens of thousands of Iranians? There is this "are we the baddies" moment. Like, in the past couple of years, we had more and more people who are on the side of the Islamic Republic, and as the Islamic Republic gets more desperate and uses more violence to suppress the revolution, the more radical methods that they use convinces more of the pro-regime people, like, yeah, I don't, like, not in my name, like, the, fuck this shit, I was supporting you up until just right now, but this is a step too far. So the Islamic Republic really, really needs to, again, I always say that the greatest threat to the Islamic Republic is not the United States and Israel. It's not even the millions of Iranians, people in the streets. Those are huge threats, but the greatest threat has always been them losing their last remaining supporters. This is the greatest threat, and this explains a lot of their policies and a lot of their strategies. And they desperately need to show that it's not the Iranian people who are the victims, it's the Basijis who are the victims. So that explains that image. And that also explains why they're sending Basijis to the universities to be beaten, so that they could show their followers, like, look, we're not the violent ones, they're the violent ones.
Can I go to the next person on the
Anyways,
list? I
okay.
have Joseph next.
Yeah,
Joseph.
hey, one of the things that I follow a lot of the military stuff on YouTube, and this whole thing about the deep fake. It's also in what they show on state TV in Iran. A couple of the military show, and one of the business journals that follows the stuff that's going on militarily in the Middle East and Southeast Asia, because China's becoming such an issue, are showing, but specifically when it comes to Iran, the AI videos are just outright. They're laughable from my part, because yeah, you're going to put missiles on the USS Gerald R. But they are showing a lot that there seems to be a ramp up from the sources that I'm following, and also this just popped across my feed. Let me pull it back here. Yeah, here it is. Anti-U.S. pro-terror extremist Kala Walsh defends Iranian regime crackdown on protesters. This is the problem we're facing here in the U.S. Is that we have, for lack of a better term, a fifth column actively supporting these regimes. Now, I because I'm a free speech absolutist, fine, they can say it. But what we're facing here, especially from what I would call the political left, is the if I dare say anything, I'm a racist, I'm an Islamophobe, I am, you know, basically they assign me a moral failing for pointing out that this person's wrong. And that's really the biggest tactic by the political left. It's not that what you're saying is wrong, but because you're saying it, you have a moral failing. The last I saw a report late last night that the U.S. has moved all of its non-essential personnel at the Lebanese embassy out. So I have a feeling once we see them move out, we're going to see full-on war, because this is the first step to get our diplomatic staff out of harm's way. And if what's happening is going to happen with the U.S. making attacks on Iran, They definitely don't want their staff in Lebanon because Hezbollah will go nuts because the Hezbollah will lose their funding.
So next on the list,
Yeah.
and if not Jeffrey, then I have Daijo next.
Okay, Dijo. Let's focus on questions, guys, so that we could go through the list because the time we're getting close. Dijo.
I was going to say address something you said earlier, Armin, about so-called great replacement, and how it's really more of a replacement of values more than anything else. Yeah, it is a replacement of values. Definitely, that's one way to argue. It's a good form of argument, but the bottom line is, especially when you're talking about Europe, the demographics are shifting, and they're simply going to accelerate as time goes on. And the fact of the matter is, saying just practically speaking, I know where you're coming from, but practically speaking, when you talk about replacement of values versus race, that's an argument that's going to become less and less tenable as time goes on because people are getting pissed off. I mean, like you said, anti-white racism is a problem. Yeah, you're right. You're damn right, it's a problem. And people, they've been told for so long that we're the fucking problem, that we got shit to answer for. We need to get in the back of the bus. And it's making people feel like they have to identify with their race simply as a means of survival.
So,
And
so what's the
if this is
question?
not
So let's,
I'm just
yeah,
I'm
let's
just
do
saying
let's.
like, well, that's just the thing. People are going to drive up and they're going to have a nasty reaction to this if they don't get up. So what do we do about that? I mean, because Jews feel that way. They feel like they need to have solidarity, which I agree with. But white people are too. Not just white people, but white people mostly because the demographics are majority white. So I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, is there? Let me ask this: Is and let's try to keep it short. Like I'm genuinely asking. I don't know. Is there such thing as a white identity? Because I know there's a Scottish identity. There's like an Irish identity. There's a German identity. There's a French identity. These are identities that happen to be white. There's an American identity. I don't know. I don't think that's a white identity. But we have identities that happen to be white. But is there a collective white identity? Like it might be. I'm genuinely asking because I don't know. I don't think there is, but I'm happy to be educated.
Yes, there is. There is a collective
And
white
you
identity.
you share that with like Russians,
Yes.
that white identity. Okay,
Yes.
so so you're telling me there's a collective white solidarity that a white American shares and feels with like a white Russian person. That does exist?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. We do. We do. There is a white identity. I identify as white. Most definitely.
My sense is that there is no strong solidarity over skin color among white people. I mean, white people as a whole. There is a solidarity based on culture between German white people, between Italian white people, between French white people, between Irish white people, between Scottish white people, between British white people, because there's a lot of history, there's a lot of culture, there's a shared history, there's roots there, right? But I don't think there is a collective shared bond between white people over skin color, given how different, for example, a French person is when it comes to collective identity to a Russian person. In the same way that we don't have a collective black identity. Like, for example, like I don't know, a black Nigerian doesn't really feel like, I don't think there's a and
There is certainly a collective black identity. There's certainly a collective black identity. This has been a movement since the early '70s. Like, it's
okay,
not
no,
monolithic.
Yeah.
that's a very America centric way of looking at it, because we're talking about a black identity in America. Okay, but in Africa, for example, there's no sense of black solidarity between people. I don't know, between Kenya and Nigeria over unity over being black. I don't know. I don't think
No,
there
there
is such
is
a thing.
and there isn't. It's complicated. There is and there isn't. But
I
it
think there is
certainly
in
exists.
America. I think there is among different black people in America. There's a bond over being black, but not among black people of the world. I don't think there is such a thing.
That is a startling thing to say.
That
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
hear from black people around the world. What do you mean that's a startling thing to hear? This is me listening to black people who are not American. That they
Yeah, and
don't. I
I
mean,
also listen to black people around the world, and I very often hear
it.
a strong sentiment of solidarity as much as there is also intergroup
Let
racism.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's also an
yeah. Let me tell you why there is no sense among many black communities. There's no sense of connection over being black because all you see is black, right? So in places in the world that generally everybody is black, there is no sense of connection over with me and somebody else or being black because there is no nobody to be, there's no other, right? If I want to have a connection with you over something that we shared, it needs to be something that we're not to define ourselves. If you grew up everything and everybody like in a village and all the time you're saying only black people.
Sure, Pan-Africanism as a movement has existed for more than a century.
Yeah, pan-africanism includes non-black countries like Egypt, for example. If you're talking about pan-africanism,
There's
is
also
I think it's
Afrofuturism. Like, these are very
yeah.
long-standing movements, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, but
and I'm
I'm
not
not
begrudging their movement. I'm just
Mm.
saying that sentiment exists.
I didn't. Yeah. I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
talking about this. Hold on, Digital. Just a second. I'm not. So you guys are misunderstanding me because I'm not saying that this attitude does not exist at all. I'm talking about how common and prevalent it is among global black people. Because yeah, I'm not saying that there are zero people who I mean, there are people like Digital, for example. I'm not talking about it as a negative. Okay, I understand. For example, Dajjal identifies with that. I'm just saying I don't see it as strong as these other identities. So, for example, I believe the Nigerian identity is a much stronger collective identity than the black identity. Like, I don't think a Nigerian relates to being black as an identity as much as they relate to being Nigerian as an identity. Okay, maybe you relate to being a black as an identity more in America than you would in Nigeria. So I'm not suggesting it doesn't exist in the same way as being white does exist as a collective identity because we just saw it. Dajjal said to us right here in front of us that he identifies with it. But I'm saying the French identity is something that is much more common. The British identity is more common. The Italian identity is more common. So I'm not arguing for its lack of existence. I'm just saying they are deeper, more defined, more relatable, stronger culturally. Like the culturally you could point to something, right? When it comes to the white identity, what is the set of traditions or culture that I could point to, right? There's not, but when I look at the French identity, there's so much to point to. When it comes to the Scottish identity, there's so much to the point to. But what are the customs of white people? What are the traditions of white people? You might want to say that it's like, I don't know, Enlightenment values. Enlightenment values are a Western European tradition. It's not even all of Europe, let alone Russia, right? So Enlightenment values is Western European. It's not all Europe, and there are many, and it's definitely not Russian, right? So there is nothing that I could point to in my mind that is a deep historical bond between white people. I'm not saying that you shouldn't identify with it. Everybody could do whatever they want, and there's nothing wrong with turning that as part of their identity that you celebrate and you're proud of. I'm just noticing that it's not as strong as these other white identities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I do. I get it. But the thing is,
judgment, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
being descriptive. This is not normative. I'm not saying there's wrong
Yeah.
or right. I'm just noticing. I'm just looking and saying
Right.
this is strong. This is not that very strong. And it does. And
Yeah.
you don't have to go with the strongest identity. If you relate with an identity that is not as common, that's your choice. If it resonates with you, it resonates with you.
Where you come from, I feel you. But the thing is, yes, it is an identity. It's definitely an identity. And there is truth to what you say in terms of individual identities, such as British, French, German,
These are not
Russian.
individual identities. These are collective identities. British is collective.
Individual groups, individual subsets of white people. That's what I mean, as opposed to just identifying as white. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and there is some truth to that. But the thing is that is changing. It is a growing sentiment. It's always
Yeah,
been
I agree
around.
with that. I agree with that. In
it's-
response to, I agree with that. In response, you're going to make white identity become more significant when you have anti-white racism. It becomes more of a thing in response. So I
Yes,
agree with that. When people
that's what-
are targeting you for being white, then it will turn into a stronger identity. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree with
It's simply a matter. It's simply a matter of defense mechanism, and that's it's becoming more and more. That was my point.